In a land where olive groves once shimmered under the sun, now smoke and fire reign over the skies. This is Syria, a nation brought to its knees, not by a foreign enemy but by a regime that led it to the brink of destruction. Bashar al-Assad, a man who appeared to be a calm ophthalmologist, holds a story far more complex than that of a doctor. He rose to power, but how did his reign set Syria ablaze? This is a story of power, betrayal, and the suffering of a people whose voices were drowned out by the roar of gunfire. Is Bashar al-Assad a dictator, or merely a product of the intricate web of global politics? It all began in the 1960s, a time when Syria, a nation with an unparalleled history and ancient civilization, quietly entered a phase of profound political transformation. During this period, the Ba'ath Party came to power, a party with seemingly nationalist and socialist slogans, but with hidden ambitions. Hafez al-Assad, a man who gradually rose through the ranks during this era of change, came from an Alawite family in the region of Kardaha. Slowly, he solidified his position among military and political elites. In 1970, through a bloodless coup, he seized power and declared himself the lifelong president of Syria. Hafez al-Assad's era was marked by tyranny and repression. Using a powerful security apparatus, he silenced dissent. The Hama massacre of 1982 was just one of his horrific atrocities, where thousands were brutally killed in a military operation. But when Hafez al-Assad passed away in 2000, his chosen successor, his eldest son Bashar al-Assad, had already died in a car accident. The mantle of power fell to his second son, Bashar, a man perceived as more modern and reformist than his father. Having studied ophthalmology in London, Bashar came to power with promises of reform. Yet, those promises soon turned into a nightmare. In the early years of Bashar al-Assad's rule, he tried to portray himself as a reformist. His economic and political promises gave some hope to the population. New development projects, economic liberalization, and efforts to attract foreign investments all painted a picture of a new era. Yet behind this reformist image, deeper corruption was at play. Administrative corruption, the concentration of power in the hands of the Assad family, and the tight grip of security forces gradually extinguished all hope. His economic policies served only his inner circle, while the poor became even poorer. Meanwhile, social inequality and public anger grew. Key events like the U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003 and its regional impact, along with Syria's complex relationships with America and Israel, further fueled unrest. In 2011, when the wave of the Arab Spring reached Syria, people, tired of years of oppression and inequality, took to the streets. But the regime's response, reminiscent of Hafez al-Assad's tactics, was brutal suppression. Protests quickly escalated into a civil war. The Free Syrian Army emerged from these protests, but the conflict spiraled into something far beyond an internal struggle. Various rebel groups, including ISIS and al-Nusra Front, entered the fray, turning the Syrian war into one of the most complex global crises. To maintain his grip on power, Bashar al-Assad relied on the support of allies in Iran and Russia. This assistance, combined with relentless bombings and the use of chemical weapons, devastated countless lives. The Syrian civil war claimed hundreds of thousands of lives and displaced millions. The country was carved into multiple territories, one under government control, another under rebel dominance, and yet another in the hands of terrorist groups. After years of resisting waves of protests, civil war, and international pressure, the Assad government finally collapsed under immense challenges. His fall marked not just the end of an era in Syria, but also a turning point in the history of the Middle East. Today, Syria faces an uncertain future, where its people search for new hope amidst the ruins, while regional and global powers vie for influence in this strategic nation. Hafez al-Assad, the architect of a regime built on fear and power, ruled with an iron fist, silencing dissent and imposing stability through terror. Bashar al-Assad, the heir to this shadowy throne, initially appeared as a reformist, but his mask soon slipped. History has repeatedly shown that nations must always beware of sudden power grabs and the deceptive masks of politicians. But remember, power without justice is like a shadow that fades as the sun sets.